So let's talk about these opportunities and where they come from. Successful salespeople learn to farm the farm, and when I say that, is that you have more sources of business than just the fresh up, okay? And we're going to talk about what a fresh up is here in a minute. Salespeople and dealerships that live by the up die by the up. You know what? What I call a fresh up is anybody that comes into our store to look at a car. And believe it or not, people can come into our store by accident. They're on their way to the movies, they see a bright, shiny little red car sitting out front, and they go, hey, we got 15 minutes, let's go pop our head and look at new cars. You don't think that happens? Happens every day. So a fresh up is here's the litmus test. If they pull on our lot and they can do this, and it's very, very important that they can do this. If they can inhale and they can exhale, then they count. We count everybody. Everybody that comes into the lot, everybody that you talk to, whether they're 16 years old or 95 years old, whether they have negative equity or their car's paid off, whether they have good credit or bad credit, you have to count everyone, okay? And you have to make sure they become a part of your master template or your master file that you've waited on that person before. Because here's the good news. Bad credit's not a permanent condition. Negative equity is not a permanent condition. That 16-year-old kid that you were nice to today when nobody else was in the rest of town is going to be of driving age before long. And he will remember you as long as you keep top of mind awareness, that you can stay in contact with him. So when we talk about fresh ups, those people that come into the dealership for the first time unsolicited by a piece of mail or a referral to you, just somebody that showed up. The average closing ratio on a fresh up is 10 to 12%. Write that down where it says fresh up. 10 to 12%. Whoa, Jam, that's not the 20% closing ratio we based our goals on, is it? So if we're doing the math, that means 1 out of every 10 people that come into the dealership that are fresh ups are going to buy a car from us. That's a national statistic provided by NADA for us. So let me ask you a question. When I read this again, successful salespeople need to learn how to farm the farm. Salespeople in dealerships that live by the up will die by the up. You kind of figure out what that means now, right? 10 to 12% is the average closing ratio on someone just walking in the door. So as a professional salesperson, I want to find a better way, right? I want to be talking to the people that I have the best shot of selling cars to. Let's look at repeat owners. The average closing ratio on a repeat owner is 50%. Write that down. What does that mean? 1 in 2. Do you want to spend your day with the 1 in 10 group or the 1 in 2 group? Right? I want to spend my day with the group of people that I got a 50% shot of selling my car, not a 10% shot of selling a car. Why do repeat owners close at a much higher rate than fresh ups?
They like their car.
And they like you. 80% of the customers, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, bought the car because they liked the salesperson. 80% of customers bought the car because they liked the salesperson. So when we say, why do repeat owners close at a much higher rate? They like the car, they like the person they deal with. You don't have to build rapport again. We're going to talk about fear of loss a little later this afternoon. And most people come to the dealership with an inherent fear of loss. They don't like you, they don't know you, they don't trust you, they feel like they're going to be taken advantage of. But once somebody finds you and you've sold them a vehicle and you become their car person, and it's only up to you, by the way, if you get to continue to be their car person, half the time when they come back in, and a lot of times better than half the time, they will just continue to buy the car from you. People rank buying a car with getting a root canal. Really, getting a root canal or going to the lawyer's office. But once they like you, once they know you, once they trust you, then they'll continue to come back and do business with you again. Number 3 is referral. That's also 50%. Write that down. Why would a referral close at 50%?
Third-party credibility.
That's right. Third-party credibility. There's a transfer of trust. Go see my buddy Bill. He's a super guy. He'll take good care of you. Then they're not coming in here as a fresh up with that tremendous fear of loss. That makes sense? The next one down is called B-backs. And now I'm going to talk to you about what a B-back is. A B-back is any source of business that comes to the dealership doesn't buy, and then comes back through a consistent follow-up effort. They leave the dealership, they didn't buy, you follow up with them on the phone, they come back to the dealership. The average closing ratio on a B-back is 67%. 2 out of 3. Would you say that makes follow-up important?
Yes.
90% of the people that leave a car dealership without buying a car never hear from the salesperson again. 67% is the average closing ratio on a B-back. 2 and 3 that you can get back in will buy a car. Yet statistics tell us that 90% of the people that leave the dealership without purchasing a car are never followed up by the salesperson. I got good news for you. Your competition is not Honda Motor Company. Your competition is not the Chevrolet Motor Company or General Motors or Buick or Nissan or Lexus or Acura. Your competition is the salesperson that your customer is going to meet before you and the one they're going to meet right after you. You've just got to be better than that guy. If you can be better than that guy and 80% of the customers say, hey, we bought because we like the salesperson, you just got to be better informed, more likable, more patient, more tolerant, and you're going to follow up till they buy, till they die, or they say, hey, if you call me again, I'm calling the police. You need to back off, dude. The reason that we have to follow up relentlessly like that is because most time it takes 5 or 6 follow-up contact attempts to get the customer back in the store. But the fruit of getting them back in the store is the 67% closing ratio, the 2 and 3 people that we're going to sell a car to. We're going to have to learn to be relentless in our pursuit of follow-up. Okay? What about the guy that was a big jerk? I mean, this guy was in gym and he's just a big jerk. He treated me like crap and I don't want to follow up with him. Again, your competition is the salesperson before you and after you. Guess what those 2 guys are saying? I'm not following up with that guy. He's a jerk. You're going to win by default because you're going to be the one guy that did follow up with the guy. The reason they act that way when they come to the dealership is they don't like you, they don't know you, they don't trust you. They have a fear of loss. And we earned it in this industry. I was in the car business in the 80s when you shook somebody's hand and said, welcome to Roper Pontiac. If I can find a vehicle that best suits your wants and needs and show you a payment that wouldn't take bread and butter off the table, so to speak, is there any reason I couldn't do business with you right now? That's how we greeted customers. And you better learn how to do that. You better know how to do that before they ever let you talk to a customer. When the quickest you could get their car keys, you'd get their car keys and you go put them on the sales manager's tower, and that way they couldn't escape. That was the car business in the 1980s. I hated it. I was terrible at it. I was too nice for it. I didn't have thick enough skin. Thank goodness that the car business has changed to a service industry. People get it. We had 13-14% markup in new cars. Everything was a grind. Everything was a negotiation. As an industry now, we hover around 5.5%, and guess what? We got the most educated buyers in the world now. I don't have to tell them what I paid for a Camry. They can go online, Edmunds.com, InvoiceDealers.com, KellyBlue.com. They can build the car out and build a factory invoice and bring it in. And it's much easier to sell a car to somebody that's informed than somebody that thinks you got $9,000 worth of markup in a $20,000 car. That makes sense? So all you have to do is learn how to marry that customer to an automobile, and the way you do that is just be informative and incredibly nice. But you have to be relentless in your follow-up, because 2 out of 3 people that you get back in the store will buy from you. The next one's phone-ups. 50%. Put an asterisk by it. Put 50%, put an asterisk by it. And the asterisk is for this. You're going to love this. Have you worked at the home store, right? Have you ever been sitting on the couch on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, you got a paper, and what do you want to do today? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do today? I don't know. We got no plans. Why don't we do this? Let's go through the newspaper today and call everyone that has washing machines on sale and ask them about washing machines. Your wife goes, well, we don't need a washing machine. I know, but I can't think of anything better to do, so let's just go stroke some salespeople and call them about washing machines. But we don't need a washing machine. I know, what, you got something better to do? Do you think that conversation ever happened, ever? It never happened, I promise you. Nobody said, I got nothing better to do than to call about washing machines when you're not in the market for a washing machine. We've already established that you can get to a car dealership on accident, right? You park something shiny out in front of the store. I don't like to stock anything that kids like here. Like jacked up Jeeps and go fast cars, because I don't want to spend half of my day dealing with folks that can't afford to buy something nuts. We'll let Extreme Power Sports or some other person that likes to deal in, ridiculous vehicles. That's not who we are. But people can get here on accident. No one calls here on accident. No one calls here. So who's my best opportunity? The guy that can get here on accident by just pulling in because he's got nothing better to do, or the guy that literally goes to our website, finds the number, picks up the phone, and calls us about a specific vehicle? It's very important that you understand how to handle a phone conversation, because 50% of the answers to this, if you get them in the store from the phone up, or get the vehicle in front of them, and I think this is the important part you need to remember, is get the vehicle in front of them. If they're in Parsons and says, well, I can't get down there, Russ, till Saturday, well, how ironic, I've got to handle some paperwork in Parsons anyway this afternoon, why don't I just run it by and show it to you while I'm in town? Now, how many dealerships do you have to drive past to go to Parsons to show him that car? 10, 11 stores? What you've done is guaranteed that he didn't have to drive past them, right?
Exactly.
And you've created a desire of ownership. So however you get in front of that customer, whether they come here or you go there, but if I've got 2 opportunities today and my goal's 3.21 and the guy's willing to let me bring a car to Pittsburgh, I'm coming to Pittsburgh. Because my job is to get that car in front of that customer. You don't have to be here for him to count. You just got to get that car in front of that customer for it to count. So the average closing ratio on a phone up is 50% if you can get the car in front of the customer. Here's the 3 keys to a phone up that we'll go into great detail a little bit later, but you need to write these down beside that. They need to have your name, right? You need to have their name, right? And you need to invite them to get in front of the vehicle. Don't, for the love of God, don't let a phone up in without inviting them to the dealership or inviting yourself to their house or place of business to get the car in front of them. It's a fail. It's like standing at home plate with your bat on your shoulder and never swinging. And they're just grooving them down the middle and you're just standing there not swinging. It's a wasted opportunity. If they don't have your name, you don't have their name, and you've invited them to get that vehicle in front of them in some regard. Whether it's you take it to them or they bring it to you. 50%. Now, if you look, the last one is new business. All right? New business is this. Joe Girard says, and he wrote a book called The Greatest Salesman on Earth. Joe Girard says there's a rule of 500. The rule of 500 says this. Kenny, you know 500 people, and 500 people know who you are. You might not have an intimate relationship with those 500 people, but if you can pick their name out of a phone book, they can pick your name out of a phone book. They know who you are. We're never, ever, ever going to ask you to hound your relatives and friends into buying cars from you, but we would be foolish not to tell you, you need to let every single person in the world that you know who you are, where you work, and what you do.